even in small ways. Third, we must redefine success. Let's stop measuring our lives by our bank accounts or our job titles. Let's start asking better questions. Am I loving well? Am I growing in character? Am I making a difference in the lives of others? Am I listening to God's voice? These are the metrics that matter. These are the things that last. Fourth, we must remember that our worth is not on the line. You don't have to earn your value. You don't have to prove your importance. You are already loved. You are already chosen. Whether you're unemployed, underemployed, or overworked, your value has not changed. God is not waiting for you to perform. He is inviting you to rest in who He made you to be. Finally, we must live with eternity in mind. This life is not all there is. One day, our jobs will end. Our achievements will fade. But what we did for love, for God and for others, will echo into eternity. So let's not waste our days chasing things that won't last. Let's invest in what matters most. My friend, you were not created just to work a job. You were created to live a life, a rich, vibrant, meaningful life, a life of faith and courage, a life of beauty and impact, a life of purpose. So don't settle, don't shrink, don't forget who you are. You were created for relationship, not just routine. That truth can be easy to forget in a world that pushes us into constant motion. Every day, many of us wake up to the sound of an alarm, drag ourselves out of bed, and dive headfirst into the grind. We go to work, we perform our tasks, we check the boxes, and then we do it all over again. Somewhere along the way, life begins to feel like a cycle that never stops turning. But deep inside, something feels off. It's not just exhaustion, it's a longing, a quiet, persistent sense that there's more to life than this. And that's because there is. When God created humanity, He didn't create machines. He didn't design us to simply perform functions, fulfill duties, or maintain systems. He created us in His image for relationship, for intimacy, for love. If you look at the story of creation in Genesis, the very first thing God does after forming man is breathe life into him. That breath was not just physical, it was spiritual. It was personal. God was not installing a program into a robot. He was sharing Himself with His creation. And then almost immediately after that, God said, "It is not good for man to be alone." That means from the beginning we were meant to live in connection with God and with one another. But modern life often pulls us away from that original design. We become so consumed with schedules and performance that we start to value ourselves based on how much we do, how busy we are, or how productive we appear. We begin to reduce our identity to a job title, a paycheck, or a role we play in society. And in doing so, we risk becoming disconnected from the core of who we are. We may be surrounded by people, yet feel alone. We may be achieving goals, yet feel deeply unfulfilled. God's heart is not for us to live isolated, task-driven lives. His heart is for us to know Him and be known by Him. When Jesus walked the earth, He spent time with people. He listened, He touched, He shared meals. He didn't just teach, He formed deep bonds with those around Him. That shows us that relationship is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's part of our spiritual DNA. When we neglect it, something inside us begins to wither. Consider the times in your life when you felt the most alive. Chances are they weren't moments when you were checking off a to-do list. They were moments of connection, laughing with friends, sharing your heart with someone who understands, feeling seen and loved, or encountering God in a real and personal way. That's what we were made for. And that's why routines, while helpful and necessary, can never replace real relationship. Routines can bring order to our lives, but they were never meant to be our reason for living. This is especially important to remember when we feel stuck in jobs or roles that feel mundane or draining. If we forget our true purpose, we'll start to believe that our entire existence is wrapped up in our responsibilities. But the truth is, even in the most ordinary days, God is calling us into relationship. He's calling us to see people, to love well, to listen deeply, and to spend time with Him in stillness and prayer. These moments may not be productive in the traditional sense, but they are powerful. They feed our souls. They realign us with who we are. The enemy would love for us to stay distracted, too busy to talk to God, too tired to invest in relationships, too focused on work to see the people around us. But God gently reminds us that He is near. He's not impressed by how much we accomplish. He's moved by our willingness to draw close. The invitation is always open. Come, sit with me, walk with me, talk to me. Let me remind you who you are. So today, take a moment to pause. Step back from the routine, even just for a little while, and remember what you were made for. You were created for love. You were created for intimacy. You were created to know God and to walk in meaningful connection with others. The world will keep spinning, and the work will always be there. But don't let it define you. You are more than what you do. You are someone deeply loved by God, called into relationship with Him, and placed on this earth not just to work, but to live, to connect, and to thrive. Work is good, but it's not your whole purpose. That's a truth many of us need to hear, especially in a world that often equates productivity with value. From a young age, we're taught to focus on careers, to aim for success, to earn, to climb, to achieve. And while there is nothing wrong with pursuing excellence or building a future, the danger comes when we begin to believe that our job is the ultimate reason we exist. We can start to think that our purpose begins and ends with what we do for a living. But the truth is, work is a part of life, not the point of life. God created work. It was His idea. Even before sin entered the world, God placed Adam in the Garden of Eden to tend and care for it. That shows us that work is not a punishment. It's a gift. It allows us to participate in creation, to contribute to the world around us, and to develop our talents and strengths. It can be fulfilling, meaningful, and even holy. The Bible teaches that whatever we do, we should do it as unto the Lord. In that light, work becomes worship. But even though work is good, God never intended for it to consume us or define us. There is a difference between having work in your life and making it your life. When our identity becomes wrapped up in our career, we risk forgetting who we are outside of what we do. That's why people who lose their job or retire often feel lost or disconnected, not just because of financial changes, but because so much of their identity was tied to their role. Your purpose runs deeper than your occupation. You were not created just to earn money, meet deadlines, or pursue promotions. You were created to love God, to love others, to live a life that reflects His character and grace. You were created to make an eternal impact that can't be measured in paychecks or job evaluations. Your calling may include your career, but it is not limited to it.